Long time no see, right? You got it. How's it going, man? Okay, guys. Good afternoon. Appreciate you being here. Obviously, the first thing that needs to be mentioned again was thanking everybody for last night. The atmosphere provided, absolutely incredible by our fans, stadium, everybody. Just an electric atmosphere. Provided a lot of juice and a ton of energy. Our players loved it. Hats off to the players and staff for great game plan, executing it, playing with tremendous effort and physicality, which is the story of a game like that, and then finding a way to close out a game, you know. So extremely proud, and at the same time, extremely excited to get to work on the things we got to fix and get better, because again, just the whole goal is to keep getting better and better every single game as the year goes on. So all graded offense, defense, special teams, and on to the next opponent, but here to answer any questions.
You've graded obviously every practice from spring on, and every play is dissected, but how does the process change when it's another opponent, not just another opponent, but a really good opponent like you had last night? How does that differ in the grading and finding out really where you are and what has to be done?
Well, I mean, there's some battles. First of all, you assess what you did well, what you didn't do well, and those things. I mean, if it's not good enough in a loss, it shouldn't be good enough in a win. So always be completely just straight up and honest with ourselves all the time. And then also continue to take a deep dive into several positions that had some really thick competition of guys that maybe edged out somebody else, but those guys are still in contention for more significant roles, for even attaining a starting spot, keeping those battles alive. That's only going to make us better. And it's very thorough. I mean, top to bottom, we analyze every bit of it, every single bit of it. And we feel that going into week 2, that there are a good amount of those battles that will continue to take place.
You talk about the importance of looking forward, looking ahead with the rest of the season you have. Is it easier said than done after a big win, a big game like you just had with Notre Dame as you try to prepare for week 2?
You know, always anything's easier said than done. I do agree with you there. And I also think that you're witnessing a team that's been growing and developing over the past several years where, I don't know, it felt like with so many great things that happened last year, sometimes you felt like you were hanging on more than what it felt like yesterday where you actually closed the game out. I think that's a pretty significant difference and a pretty significant step for a team, especially as it relates to just flat out physical conditioning and physicality, you know, playing with that type of temperament. So I think we all witness every single week in college football that if you're not on your game at your best, you'll be exposed, okay? And we don't want to learn that kind of a lesson. So we have a very straightforward and unique way to make sure that we're amped up and working really hard.
What do you feel like you learned about how this team responds to adversity from yesterday?
I do feel that their care factor for the game, for their performance, and for each other is extremely high. We felt that as this team started coming together more and more towards the beginning of the summer, and that they're very driven to the level of they refuse to let anything get in the way of getting the job done. That really stands out because as you watch film, even when there was a bust, you see 11 guys trying to fix it. If a guy missed a block, you see a running back just churning those legs, man, trying to find a way to get that first down or get an extra yard, or guys trying to stick in their move piles like on the touchdown. So I think those things really stick out, and they're going to have to, right? Because every single week, in essence, is a playoff game. And I think our guys are understanding that aspect more and more.
Blocking and tackling in a game 1 can always be iffy. You never know what you got. But how do you feel like it went for you guys yesterday in that regard?
Well, you know, going into this game, and I'll get to that in a second, we thought that the obvious about Notre Dame was they led the country in forcing turnovers, and they led the country in turnover margin. And we walk out of there +2, you know. Excuse me. Ball security was good, you know, can still get better, but we did not turn the ball over. And we forced a couple turnovers by them, one of them leading to 3 points, the other one botched snap on a field goal. So that point of emphasis was massive. And then we knew that it was going to be a line of scrimmage football game. They have a great team. I mean, those physical battles up front, credit to them. That thing was a back and forth all night long. And then we found a way to get, you know, an edge here and there and find a way to punch through and eventually take control of the game at the end. But it was a back and forth. I mean, that thing was a slugfest the whole way through. And I think this team, learning from them is, what I've learned from them is that they enjoy the physical and violent nature of the game. You know, they're understanding that that's an aspect that at the end of the day, it's still football, right? It's not a pageant. It's not how you look. It's how you play, and that the physicality aspect has to apply out on the edge. And mind you, I got to mention this: the wide receivers block their tails off, man. That sticks out about as much as anything. I mean, I know the offensive guys were in there watching those guys. And they are like at the top of the priority list to mention because of the way they threw their bodies around. And I thought they showed great composure because, football, it is what it is, man. Things happen. You get your face mask grabbed and pulled and punched, and we haven't been as smart with those things in the past. And our guys showed composure, found a way to just get back in the huddle and go back to work.
Similarly, on the perimeter, on the flip side, that they tested the corners to come up and tackle in space on some of those perimeter throws. How'd they do in that regard?
They did a really good job, obviously forcing the one turnover and forced a couple of, plus ones or no gain plays. The one time when the ball got out on us, was when, the nickel has to force. He is the force player on that, and the ball gets outside of that. The trap corner, the safety's trying to come back over the top and make the play, but he's supposed to force that. Aside from that, I thought we played good physical football with our best football ahead of us. Technically, we were good, used our hands well, bended at the knees, got good extension, lockout, shed blockers well. Block destruction was very prevalent both at the line of scrimmage, inside, and on the perimeter.
Mario, were there things with Carson that you learned more about going through a whole game? I know we talked about practices, what you saw from him in the past, but was there anything that stood out in the game plan?
Yeah, he's very calm, cool, collected, very smart, sees it. He knows when he's got to get rid of it quickly and knows when he has a little bit more time. Tried to escape the one time, on the sack was close. That guy just rounded the corner on him pretty tightly, so he couldn't get out of that. But his understanding of the game and what they're throwing at him was awesome. His sideline demeanor was outstanding. And that is a team that covers really, really well, both in zone and in man. They are really hard to throw the ball against. So tremendous job by him.
You guys turn. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm just curious about what you made of the run game. Not high totals, but obviously you finished it off with some key runs. Just your overall thoughts on what you saw from the run game.
Solid to good. I mean, we're very close to popping some really big ones, and that's a matter of sustaining blocks, hat position, hat placement, finish against a team that, again, in our opinion, was one of the top 5, if not the best defense in the country. That's very, very physical, and that the yards were going to be muddy, bloody, tough yards, and we found a way to get those. So really proud of the way that those guys played up front, moved the line of scrimmage, and the way that the backs ran. The backs ran really hard.
Any update on Jordan?
He's going to be okay. I mean, he tweaked his leg for a second, but all indications that he is a full go even tomorrow's practice.
And the follow-up on those, just the value of having multiple backs who can't be like having Jordan and Marty, just what you've learned over the last few years about having a committee of running backs that you are able to rotate out, and the value of that.
I think it's really hard to win without that. And I think it's really hard to have a team that can't understand the value of that. There's no such thing as having first stringers and then a couple of backups. It's hard to win at high levels and sustain winning without having, a complete first and second deep and having threes that are as good or even better, in time than the guys that you have going on with the twos. You have to roll guys in and out. Football, excuse me, football season is long, right? These games are really, really physical. Like, for example, this week's a short week, and the backs are a prime example of being able to roll guys in, particularly early in the season as guys are continuing to getting into true game shape. So I guess as simple as it's invaluable to have that.
You guys turned the middle 8 into really the middle 13 last night with 5.5 and then a 7.5-minute drive. Obviously, you can't do it. And there's things you can do better, I'm sure, on some of those plays. But fundamentally, you can't do that any better. How rewarding was that to see being able to manage the last 5.5 of the half and then come out and just take up so much clock to start the third?
We didn't want to get the ball back before halftime, and we felt like we had some really, really good momentum. We got snagged up there. We thought that they were holding our player down and burning an extra 12 seconds off the clock. We thought we were getting the flag. We didn't, but we managed to still convert and score. And knowing that we were going to get the ball first in the second half, locker room, that was a big point of contention. certainly the players were very determined to come on out and start fast, and they did. And a lot of it was on the ground, pound the ball really well in the form of split zone, duo, you name it, wide zone, and got after it, finished blocks, and I thought both of those were statement drives, drives that showcase a little bit about what we're capable of. So the middle eight has been something that we've been very good at for quite some time now, and truly swings the momentum of most games, and I think it certainly did last night.
You talked last night also about how CJ had been in the portal previously. Did you try?
Oh, I try, brother. I try. Trust me, I try. To the ends of the earth and beyond. Yeah, watching him at Liberty, I thought he was an unbelievable high-level playmaker. You know, I mean, the guy, contested catch rate was off the charts. Catch radius was huge. Could run the entire route tree with ease. Could play inside, could play outside, had length. And, you know, just demeanor-wise, and all the background checking was about a guy that was a true pro about his approach. Like, his impact on that receiver room, it can't be overstated. He has changed the way those guys approach the game. Tremendous impact on those guys. So, oh yeah, I've chased him for a long, long time. Finally got him.
And Carter shared last night that when he got told that he'd won the job, he cried tears of joy.
When? I'm sorry.
When you decided on the kicker.
Yes.
He said he cried tears of joy. Very emotional about it. Couldn't wait to go find his parents last night. Just seems like a very, very happy-go-lucky kind of kid. I know it was down to the wire kind of. What was the separation?
And, you know, I've fortunately been part of some great kicking competitions here as a player and as a coach. I remember Carlos Huerta walking on from Columbus High School, and you had 5-star guys like Sung Kim and another couple high-profile guys here, and then the guy walked on, you know, kicks that last 52-yarder, and Coach Johnson says, "You're the man," you know. And this one was one like that. We feel like we have two kickers, quite honestly. That's how strong we feel about them. And people looked at, you know, taking Carter and like, man, that guy was 4 of 11 at FAU. It's like, well, you know, that's like looking at a high school film and saying, well, that they haven't won many games and, you know, he doesn't have a bunch of tackles. Well, maybe he's out of position. Why don't you take a deeper dive? What truly is he, and what is he not doing, and what can he do to be a real good player? We thought the operation, the processes can really just elevate his talents, because as you saw, that ball is out the end zone just about every time, and it just explodes off his foot. But both those guys, him and Bert, and I know they're tight, they're just hard-working, accountable dudes that want to win. And that competition was close. You know, the edge was slight, but it was there. We went with it. So we trusted it, and it paid off. And all you can trust is what you see in practice, right? That's all you can do.
Coach, if you could hypothetically talk to the recruits across the nation, how would you describe to them what Malachi Tony did from day one to coming here and the game you guys trust to the point where you put him out there the first punt of the season? How would you describe it?
That's a good question. You know, it all starts with his approach, what he is as a person, as a competitor. It doesn't matter if it's school or practice, taking care of his body, preparing for a lift. Like, he's always early. And when he's early, he's prepared. He's not just kind of a disheveled freshman trying to put on all his stuff. Like, the guy comes in every single day with intention. I'm talking like a pro. Does not resemble a freshman in any way, shape, or form. He instantly gains trust because people know that if he doesn't get it right, he's going to bust his butt to make sure he gets it right. Now, he's blessed beyond measure, right? I mean, his speed, athleticism, ability to track the football, body control, I mean, exceptional, right? But his daily approach and his football IQ, natural ability to beat man coverage or find soft spots in zone, coupled with that attitude, if you want a team full of those kinds of attitudes, you see in a guy like a Mark Fletcher, you see in the guy, there's so many, the Reuben Baines, you know, the Brockermeyers, the CCs, right, the Coops, Makeem Mesdor, and Malachi Tony just happens, he has that as a freshman.
You touched on it last night too, but watching it on tape, the way Bain and Mesidor took their game to another level in the fourth quarter, those were both guys that worked hard to improve their conditioning levels this year. Did you see that on the tape when you were watching the game again today?
No doubt, right? If you want to win football games in modern day football, you got to have people that can rush the passer in the fourth quarter, right? So many of these games are coming down to the wire. Those guys, they work themselves to their most minimal body fat Mesro got himself to 265, 270, Bain about 275, really trimmed down, worked on their conditioning relentlessly, not just by what we did in the summer, but in practice. That's where you really see it. There's one way to get in football shape, play football really hard, and that's what they do. That ball spits out there, they're hauling butt to chase down the ball. Like Bain being there for the interception, that's not a surprise. That's every day in practice. Now the ball hasn't bounced off an ankle and landed in his hands, but he's always been there. And when you haul to the ball, like good things typically happen, and just so happened he was. Showed some good ball carrying skills as well.
From a recruiting perspective, just how big is getting a win like this standalone Sunday night against the national runner-up? Just how much juice does that kind of give you guys on the trail as you guys try to close this thing out?
Well, I think having people there, the environment, the game day environment was awesome. People needed to see that, and then people needed to see Miami, against a top 5, top 10 opponent, and be able to perform and close it out and get it done. So those things are really, really valuable, as so are the relationships formed and the validation of, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, because it's exemplified in, like, talking with Ruben Bain, like we mentioned last night, sitting outside of Hard Rock in 22, trying to explain, and a butt beating on the scoreboard, and how, look, we just got here. There's a lot to fix. Every place has a different starting point, and this one is not good. So we're going to get our teeth kicked in. We're tough as hell. We could deal with it. We just need the right people and a bunch of them, and he stuck with that. And so moments like that, right, you have like an actual living story that can tell that to the rest and explain what that means and what that's like. And I do feel this in football, the ones that go through it and end up, mind you, we're in game 1, so that's it. We got a long ways to go. But the ones that go through it and end up punching through as they become juniors and seniors, those are the ones that have the best lessons and the best experiences. Those are the life-changing parts of football that I think are critically important to really society.
So a few more.
Your D tackles, just after watching the tape, what's your assessment on how they performed?
They played well, man. They played well. They were physical. They got their hands on the offensive linemen. They maintained their gaps for the most part. They got penetration. They were hard to block. Pass rush was solid. I thought David Blay, Armando Blanc played with great energy. Thought Justin Scott, obviously the fumble forced, made a really big play. Thought Ahmad Moten was really disruptive. I do think all those guys, their best football's ahead of them. I think they've been pushed really hard. They've responded well. The scheme fits them. They're allowed to play fast and free. But they showed up last night, and I think, the quarterback draws are the ones that hit us. Those were the chunk yards, right? And the one that got out. Aside from that, they did a really good job of making things bounce, of just squeezing air out of those gaps and making the run game a little bit more difficult for Notre Dame.
Guys are going to see, scores, and they know what Bethune did this weekend with FIU. How do you just guard against? I think you get up to Notre Dame because it's Miami Notre Dame. How do you try to duplicate as best you can that same focus going into a game like this?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think number one, the reality, point out the fact that they do have a lot of good players, because we scout everybody, and there's a lot of players from Florida and out of state on that team that we know and recognize. And whenever teams have a lot of returning starters up front, automatically dangerous. Because if they can block you, they can do some things to hurt you, okay? And I know their head coach. Know him really, really. He's a hell of a football coach and a really good motivator, and this is a big game for both them and for us, Last game has no value if you don't take care of this next game, and that goes on for every game as the season goes on. So it's our job to get right through in whatever ways necessary. And we have very direct and very right at you ways between the eyes to get the point across, and that must be done. And the best part about that, honestly, I believe this: our players respect that. Our players respect that. It takes what it takes,
Did you get any sleep?
Well, sorry.
Did you get any sleep?
Yeesh. We have a lot of recruits in town. We have a short week.
No.
It's a way of saying no.
Great coffee. Great coffee. But you know what? How blessed are we, right? Thank God. The opportunity that we had last night, the opportunity to capitalize on a lot of people. Staff, players, for Hurricanes everywhere, to capitalize and to be able to wake up the next morning and get right back at it again on a team that's very healthy. We walked out of there in a really physical game I was expecting to see a MASH unit list this morning, and we came out, you know, healthy. So press on, right?
That's it.
Press on.
Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. Guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you.